take you back exactly 6 months. In fact, the other morning, Thursday morning, for our open, I received a text from Sharlie saying, "Mom, do you know what you were doing exactly 6 months ago, this very moment?" Well, let me take you back to her bedside in the ICU at Stanford Medical Center. Sharlie's been under anesthesia now for 36 hours. Her chest cavity was opened up, and her temperature has been lowered to almost freezing in order to slow down all of her bodily functions. Her diseased heart and lungs have been removed, and in their place is a new heart and new lungs. It seems to us, her family, that she has been under for a very, very long time. Her husband, Ryan, and I are at her side, watching and waiting. The ICU nurse, this sweet ICU nurse, has explained, actually warned us, that when she comes out of the anesthesia, she's going to likely be disoriented and maybe even aggressive. She told us because of the pain they're in, patients are often try to pull on their tubes and they can become quite angry. Sharlie's been intubated, which means she has a tube going down her throat, and there are dozens of tubes, wires, and IVs sustaining and monitoring her life. She's going to feel pain because they have to make her uncomfortable enough so that she'll wake up. So Ryan and I are ready. We're prepared for whatever happens when she wakes. I'm holding Sharlie's hand. And as she slowly regains consciousness, Ryan and I are whispering words of love to her, trying to nudge her into this wakefulness. Her eyes flutter, and then I feel a very faint but very distinct squeeze, and then 3 squeezes, which is our family code for "I love you." Her eyes are nearly swollen. They're almost swollen shut, but as she tries to open them, I can see that she's trying to focus on Ryan and me. And no, there's no anger. There's no confusion. There's certainly no aggression. She looks up at us, back and forth, and then very softly, but again very distinctly, "I love you. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful." And for the next several hours, as we, her family, and all of her dearest friends that have gathered around her, we listen to this over and over again. We hear nothing but words of love and gratitude. And as each doctor and nurse comes back on her to take her vitals, Sharlie pulls them close. She wants to hold their hand, and she looks into their eyes and says, "Thank you. I'm so grateful." At one point, she looks at me and Mom and says, "Oh, Mom, Heavenly Father loves us so very much." Well, Sharlie has absolutely no recollection of her time in the ICU, but those few hours that we spent with her have changed me, and they've changed our whole family forever.
You heard just a moment ago my intention that Sharlie be here for USANA's 20th birthday, celebrating her first year with her new heart and her lungs. My dear USANA friends, please welcome to the stage my hero, my precious sister, Sharlie.
Thank you. I cannot even explain how surreal it is to be here with you, with my USANA family. Just like Zach, I have grown up in USANA, and I remember the first time I spoke on this USANA stage. It was in 1997, and earlier that year I had turned 18, and I received a very special birthday gift. I became a USANA distributor. At that convention, I talked about all the ways USANA had blessed my life. Of course, I talked about the superior products that were making such a difference in the way that I felt. And I talked about the people that we were meeting that were becoming our family. And I talked about how awesome it was to be able to travel with our family while my mom built her USANA business. But I closed my remarks by talking about the greatest gift USANA had given me: hope. When I started taking the USANA products, I was 14 years old. And at that time, my doctors had already started talking to me about a double lung transplant. They believed that I would need a transplant within the year. But after watching what my sister had gone through with her transplant, I was determined to fight and buy precious time that would allow advances in the transplant procedure and in the post-transplant treatment. I believe that the proactive and preventative approach that I took with my care, including being so diligent in taking my USANA supplements and visiting Sauna Vive every year. I love Sauna Vive. That place is just so amazing. It has made such a difference in my health and my life. But I believe that those two things were able to buy me that precious time, 19 years. This year, our family has walked but a beautiful journey. I love the theme this year. Facing my own mortality in such an intense way has given me a unique and valuable perspective. Life is so precious. I know we hear that a lot, but it is so precious, and I genuinely celebrate it every day. We are so blessed to be a part of a company that understands the importance of loving life and of celebrating life, and part of a company that, above all, among the many things, gives us hope. I have truly experienced miracles in my life, and I never lost that hope I talked about in 1997. This year, USANA is celebrating their 20th birthday, and in my world, birthdays are a huge deal. When I was diagnosed with cystic fibrosis at 14 months old, the doctors told my mom, encouragingly, that I may even live to the age of 10. I am never going to be one of those people that dread birthdays or dread getting older or fib about my age. I am so grateful for every birthday that I've been able to celebrate. This year, my birthday was especially poignant, and before my transplant, I made a special request. I wanted to make sure that my lungs and my heart were treated with respect and reverence. I didn't want them thrown out, and I even asked if I could visit them after my transplant so that I could, not only because I was curious about what they looked like, but so that I could say goodbye to them and thank them for working so hard to keep me alive. So on March 19th, just over a month after my transplant, I turned 33, and Ryan and I decided to celebrate in a very special way. We visited the lab where they were keeping my heart and my lungs at Stanford, and we met with the lab technician there, and he showed us my organs. And he marveled at how I was able to breathe with lungs that were so ravaged by disease, but Ryan was able to hold my organs, my lungs, and my heart, my well-used and well-loved and well-appreciated organs in our hands.
When you look at this picture, it's amazing, isn't it? And I believe that it's quite significant and symbolic that here in this picture, Ryan is so tenderly holding Sharlie's heart. And Ryan, I just want to acknowledge you. You have been so amazing. I always tell Ryan I prayed him into our lives. Thank you, Ryan. You've been a rock.
Well, I just want to echo my family's expressions of gratitude. When we drove in from the airport, we were greeted by a sign that said, "Welcome to Utah, live elevated." And I thought how fitting that was, that I was coming to stand on this stage to thank you for elevating me. You have not only walked this journey with us, but you have carried me through with your permeating love and prayers. I distinctly remember laying in my hospital bed several days after my transplant, and it was a difficult day, and I was in a lot of pain. I still couldn't move at all on my own. I was very swollen, and I had tubes coming out from all over my body. And I decided to offer just a silent prayer for comfort and peace. And at that exact moment, I had a very strong impression. And what was made known to me was that every single prayer that was offered in my behalf was being heard and would be answered. And I was so humbled and elevated, and I just started weeping. And instead of offering a prayer of comfort for myself, I fervently prayed that every person that had prayed for us, loved us, and supported us would receive those blessings in their life 100-fold. How can I possibly thank you for the impact that you have had on my life? Dr. Wentz, how can I possibly thank you? I think the best thing I can do is to love life and live it. And that is my problem, my USANA family. And Dr. Wentz, because of you, I am loving life and I am living it. God bless.